Okay, so welcome again. I have a few slides prepared for you, and then we'll try to do a short activity if time permits towards the end. So I told you all that we're recording already. About the recording, that is maybe not something I'm always going to do. It kind of depends on how sustainable that ends up being, if it's too much work editing the videos or that sort of thing. Okay. That being said, so we do have a few points of contact. And I'll go ahead and show you some of these. So we do have an Instagram. This is what it looks like right now. We have a GroupMe as well. This will be our main point of contact. So if somehow you're not in the GroupMe, I would encourage you to join. And then the other one is the Discord. So this is new. Right now, it's just me in there because I haven't shared this anywhere. But the idea is to kind of give everyone a space to talk amongst each other about whatever you want, whenever you want, in a more low-stress environment. Okay, so I had you guys take a poll last week. Hopefully you all took it. 19 people took it, and I want to go over the results of the poll with you guys because I think that analyzing data is a very crucial part of science in general, but cognitive science especially. I won't do this every time, but I asked you guys to submit a form ID. This is what that looks like. Someone put what I believe is a UGA ID number, so I decided to censor that before sharing it. But I did say that I would possibly share these, so you were warned. The other thing is we had 19 respondents, but there are 20 on here. The reason is because earlier today I realized that I hadn't taken the poll, and I was thinking I kind of should since I am a member of the club. So I threw my name in here just so you can't identify me when I happen to take, not my name, sorry, a form ID, if I happen to take it in the future, which I plan on doing. But the rest of the data is for 19 people. So this is the main reason I wanted to take the poll, was to decide on a actual time to meet. So this is a summary of the responses. So I asked you guys for which day you prefer, and then I asked you guys which time you prefer. On the right is a histogram of the preferred days, and then under that is the preferred times. But on the left is how those correlate. So part of the question was that I don't want you to consider the day that you put with the time that you put. This is what it would look like if I happen to consider that. Monday at 5 would have actually been the best time. But if they're not correlated and I consider them separately, this is what that looks like. Most people said Wednesday and most people said 5. So that's what I ended up deciding on. There's the histograms from earlier. So just so it's very transparent what I did here, if you look at the vertical axis here, this should reflect the histogram here on the left, and then the horizontal axis should be the one on the right. And then they're just added up together. So I looked at the amount of people that put a time that overlaps with 5:30. So I think I considered 4:35, 5:30, and 6, and Wednesday. So 4 people for Wednesday and 5, 0, 3, and then 1 for 4:30. So that makes 8. So 8 people. These are the degrees you put. The reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to make a prediction about first of all, how many people would show up, and secondly, the major demographics. Predicted 8 people would show up. I think there's 7 people in the room, so not too far off. And the other thing that I wanted to predict was that about 6/8 of you guys, or 75%, would have a cognitive science degree. I know some of these are doubled up. 6 out of 7? I think that's close. There you go. The power of data analysis. For those of you that were curious about the overall distribution of majors, this is it. Mostly Cog Sci, and then Comp Sci, Psych, AI, this is where I would be, and some criminal justice and pharmacy as well. Okay, so I went ahead and wrote down some of the things that I'm expecting to get out of the club, some of the things that I expect that you can expect to get out of the club. The main one is to meet other students. So like you just saw, cognitive science is very widespread across campus. So there are people interested in cognitive science that have a pharmacy degree, for example, or a psychology degree. The main idea for this club is to meet other people that are interested in the same sort of thing. In this case, it's cognitive science, and have a space to discuss that shared interest. Previously, in the cognitive science club, we've had faculty members talk about their research and how it's related to cognitive science, usually AI. Um, so I think we're going to try to do that again, at least once this semester. Uh, but in general, there will be opportunities to learn more about the actual department at UGA, if that's something that you're curious or wondering about, and about the cognitive science field in general. This is a question for you all. What is cognitive science? I want to hear from you guys. And more specifically, what would a cognitive scientist study? Things that can ask questions. Yeah. Processes. I'll put problem solving as a separate thing, just to keep things clean. Sure. So I'll write emergent learning. I think that's kind of what you're getting at, is something beyond the surface behavior of the group or individual. I'll write human interaction. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Anthropology, for example, data science would be another. What kind of are the disciplines that would be explored by cognitive scientists or people interested in cognitive science? Natural language processing. Another good one. Linguistics. Psychology. And we kind of touched on that point a little bit, though I didn't write it down, with the mind and what's going on in the mind, though I think psychology is more so specifically the human mind. Neuroscience is a good one. So I think in my mind, that is sort of studying like the emergence that comes from, maybe you're studying individual neurons and then how the collection of neurons think as a group, or how people think as a group. So I'll write sociology, since I touched on how we have human interaction, but how people as a group can learn or behave. Yeah. Adaptation. So a good example of something that's non-neural adaptation would be something like evolution. In a lot of ways, that is kind of a process of learning in a way to adapt to your environment. Evolution. This makes me think of evolutionary algorithms or evolutionary computation, and that gives me the idea of putting computer science on here. I think things like logic or symbolic logic. Yeah, I'll write logic. This will come up again later. I'm gonna do something with this, so that's our list for now. Ideas of what to expect in the near future, what to maybe expect in the far future. So first of all, I do have a poll again for you guys. Please take it. The more data, the better. To get more of a gauge on what your interests are, it'll just be a list of things that are somewhat related to cognitive science. I don't include a lot of these things, and you'll just check which of those you're interested in, and that'll be the whole thing. So the feedback is optional. I got a few N/A submissions. You don't have to say anything here, but it's an opportunity for you to maybe give me some feedback. Whatever you want to write, as anonymously as you want. You can copy and paste a whole book into there if you would like, or put a smiley face. But the idea is to get feedback from you, but it's not required. But I'll keep putting that on the future polls as well. The Discord, so the point is just that people who can't show up can still contribute to the conversation, or I know GroupMe is a little bit formal, so just a place to talk about whatever you want, whenever you want. with other people that are interested in cognitive science. I want to have weekly meetings, so you can expect a meeting next week, Wednesday, 5:30 in this room. What I want to do the meeting on is so main idea I have for taking the club somewhere is to try to get your hands dirty and actually work on some actual applications of cognitive science. A lot of that is AI. So the next meeting, I kind of want to go over some AI fundamentals in order to springboard off of that and actually do some neural networks, perhaps get some real databases and draw some inferences with you guys. Cognitive science is not just AI, and I understand that, but AI is only becoming more and more present in a lot of these other fields that are cognitive science related, even those that aren't. Agriculture, forestry, pharmacy. So I do want to start the semester off talking about AI, but again, that's not all of cognitive science. The thing is, generally, I do want to have this club be more discussion based. I don't want that to be everything that we do, but I know some of you are interested in philosophy, so maybe a more formal philosophical discussion could be interesting. Another thing is there are a lot of AI tools nowadays. This is something that I like to keep up with myself. A lot of them are useful, a lot of them are not. But introducing you guys to some of them, if you know of any that you want to introduce to the club. Another thing was actually working on problems. So finding problems that can be solved by inferencing from data sets was the idea that I had there. So that's kind of what I was imagining for a lot of the I mentioned AI implementations. So maybe writing up a small neural network to make an inference on some data set in order to solve a problem. There's a lot of games out there. I had specific ones in mind that we could do as a group. And then this is more of a stretch goal, but depending on how interested people are on getting your hands dirty, we can maybe organize some actual projects to be done by the club. If you're familiar, Franklin College has done a Gen AI competition in the past. I don't think that they mentioned anything about doing it again, but I think it's pretty likely that they will. So submitting something like that from the club would be cool. So I do want to try to actually do an activity here. We'll kind of see how this goes. So speaking of introducing you guys to AI tools, there's this thing called Teachable Machine. This is from Google. And the idea here is that you can give it things like images or audio. It's just an interface for training a neural network. So I have my phone here. And the idea is you give it training data. So maybe my right hand. So I'll put my left hand in there. Just train the default. And this will take like not very long at all. And then we have a hand classifier. I guess I should have renamed these, but class 1 is my right hand. Maybe I should have given it more data. Class 2 is my left hand. A bit wonky. It usually works better with more data, but the idea is there. So that's the tool. I already trained one. I want you guys to guess what this model has learned. So I'll show you the training data. Each drawn pattern on there is something that I've passed into the model, and I've trained it on a certain class. There's 3 classes here. And I want you all to theorize about what's going on in this robot's head. There's 3 papers. There are, I think, 300 images that I've tossed into the model, but they're all of these patterns. This is what the model is seeing, and that's what its prediction is. I'll go ahead and show the next one. Pretty confident that that's class 2. Actually, right now, I'll ask you guys to make a prediction what you think class 3 is. Or at least that's the hope. I don't know exactly what the model learned, but that was the idea. Here's the next one. So I guess pretty confident that that's class 1. Class 3 again. Here's the next one. Bit ambivalent. Class 2. It did take a second to settle on that. You can write that down if you want. Again, this is about not what the training data was, but what the model has actually learned. Here's the next one. Maybe change his mind. Here's the next one. The next one that I'll be showing it is one that the model has not seen during training, and that is this one. And it thinks that that is class 1, pretty confident. And again, it has not seen this during training. Okay. Now, if you're still unsure about what's going on under the hood of the model, I want you on the other side of the paper that you're taking notes on to write a pattern that would disambiguate that for you. So in other words, if you're unsure how it might predict 4x's, I don't know if that was one of these training things, it's not, then draw that and then write your prediction on the other side of the paper. And then once you've done that, you can pass it up to me so I can show the robot your patterns. So maybe you have your own theories. It looks like a lot of you did 4x's in a grid. So maybe you're predicting something about the amount of x's, or maybe the placement of a certain x, or the absence of o's, perhaps. I do have my own prediction, though, and then I think we'll end the meeting here. So as you all recalled, unless I'm forgetting, this was class 1. So I'll try that again. This should be something that we already saw. My prediction is that this will be class 2. Maybe not. A bit unsure. Class 2. Maybe a bit cherry picked. I'll call it the class 2. So my theory is that most of the model's guessing power goes into whether or not the paper is this way or this way. And maybe it has very little to do with the actual X's or O's on the paper. The idea here is that maybe as I was writing this down, I was simply alternating pages, like class 1, class 2, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And then when I actually deploy the model, turns out the thing it's learned is something that isn't actually at all to do with what I wanted it to learn. So you can imagine, maybe not the most successful demonstration. You can imagine maybe this has happened before. All of your training data for you're detecting a certain cancer, all of the positive ones are from a certain cancer treatment hospital, and all of your negative ones are from a general practice hospital. And so maybe what the model actually learns if you're trying to classify cancer from non-cancer has to do with some trademark of the specific cameras that the hospital uses, something like that. Phenomenon that I'm getting at in machine learning is called overfitting. If you want to look into that in your own time, we'll talk more about that in the next meeting. I think I'll call it here.